Hi guys, so today I have, I know you guys saw a lot of cars. So we're shooting this one, this one, this one. We're shooting all this today, and shooting as in photography. And we have the V90 as well. So we have all these guys here. But I'm doing a walk around video on this one first. So this is the S90 T8, okay? 407 horsepower, a 5-second 0 to 100 acceleration anytime. Actually, it's faster than that, and it is a very big car. Okay, the S90. It competes with the Mercedes E-Class, the BMW 5 Series, and the Audi A6. Okay, so I think it is. It launched in about the same time as the E-Class and the new 5 Series, and this is a very compelling package because unlike the 530i, okay, the 530i is a 252 horsepower mid-size executive sedan. Okay, the Mercedes E250 is a 211 horsepower mid-size executive sedan. But this guy here, okay, now Volvo also have the T5, which is 254 horsepower. That would make it at the same performance or positioning as the 530i or the E250. Okay, now the E250, the E-Class, they still have a E200, which is 184 horsepower, and of course BMW Malaysia did not bring in the 520i, which is the same par as the E200. Now Volvo decided to just bring in the T8, which is a plug-in hybrid, as you can see a plug point there. Now BMW also have their plug-in hybrid, right, the 530e, and Mercedes-Benz also have their plug-in hybrid, which is the E350e. Okay, put aside all those numbers because they no longer is relevant to their displacement or whatever. But then let's put it this way: the combined output of this car is 407 horsepower, and Volvo's T8 is their flagship drivetrain variant. So last time, many years ago, they have a T8 which is a V8 engine in the XC90. That is a Yamaha unit. Okay, but now the T8 is only plug-in hybrid. So you have a 2-liter twin charge engine up front, 320 horsepower, and that alone is already a higher output than the combined system output of either the 530e or the Mercedes E350e. Okay, now in the middle, this is an all-wheel drive car. Okay, this is an all-wheel drive car, but there is no prop shaft in the middle. They don't have that long shaft that travels to the back for the 4-wheel drive system. What is being replaced in the middle is a battery pack right smack in the middle center tunnel, and at the back here on the rear axle you have an electric motor. So it's a very interesting architecture, because, or I can say it's very advanced, because from the get-go Volvo designed it to be a hybrid powertrain. So unlike the 5 Series or the E-Class, where it's a standard car, but then they added a battery at the back, okay, and then they put a motor in replace of the torque converter. So you have the engine, you have the gearbox, all right, the gearbox, but normally the gearbox is connected to the engine through a torque converter. But then the Mercedes or BMW, they put a motor in between the transmission and the engine, and the motor is powered by the battery at the back. So Volvo, I prefer their execution because like I said again, it is a more advanced architecture. So in the middle is where the battery is. Why Volvo decided to put it in the middle? Because it doesn't disrupt the weight distribution of the car. It's right smack in the middle, so whenever your car turns and all that, it doesn't affect the load transfers and all that. Not only so, you still have a gigantic boot. Okay, for the E-Class or the 5 Series, they have to sacrifice boot space to house the battery. And if your battery is at the very back, it is not the safest execution to put it at the back. So that is Volvo's argument. And not only so, because the system is separated, so you have the front engine, transmission operating the front wheel, and the battery and the motor operating the rear wheel. When they both work together, it's all-wheel drive. So there is that added dynamism for it to switch, you know, and that is fundamentally, to me, a more advanced solution. Now this car, it is longer, wider and lower than any of its competition, and it has the largest room compared to, be it the 5 Series or the E-Class. I have read some articles that say that that this is not as roomy as others, which is not true. I don't know why they say that, but that is not true at all. This is more spacious than any one of them. So now I am 5'11". I can slot my feet underneath here, and if I sit normally, you can see the amount of leg room I have. Can you see that? It's very, very spacious. And as I'm seated here, I still have about 2 fingers of headroom on top. Of course, I can slouch a little bit, but then in terms of normal sitting position, it is, in terms of headroom, because the car is lower than any of its competitors, so I still have only about 2 fingers of headroom left. So in terms of headroom, it is not as much as its competition. I would say in terms of seating comfort, because I've said it again, any room that I'm not using are rooms that I'm not using. Of course, I mean, there is that thing whereby I can do this for a more spacious car, but I think the 5 Series actually has a very, very good balance in between space and headroom and, you know, comfort and all that, but there's little in between them. Now Volvo places their aircon vents here, which is more costly for Volvo, but it's the right thing to do, because this is where the aircon vents supposed to belong and not here. This is a shortcut for a lot, whereby you see the aircon vents are there, they just need to route it over here and then that's it. But of course, this is the hybrid, so there's the battery pack at the back there, you know, and of course for localized specification, you think about this one, right, by right should be more expensive than the 540i. Okay, the 540i makes 340 horsepower or there, 3 liter straight 6. Okay, and in Malaysia, actually there are 20 over people who bought the 540i at 600,000 ringgit. Okay, but this guy by right is supposed to be more expensive because it's higher spec, it has a higher output, but in Malaysia, Volvo, and then with the EV incentive and all that, this car is a bargain at 343,000. Yes, this one doesn't have the Bowers and Wilkins, so this is just the Inscription instead of the Inscription Plus. But we tested the sound system yesterday. It's very, very good. It's not as good as the Bowers and Wilkins one, but it's very, very good. In fact, I think it sounded better than those C-Class with Burmesters. This original sound system from Volvo is really, really good. Okay, so that's the interior, but Volvo did not skim on this, because on the Inscription you get this crystal gear knob, this Auraforce crystal gear knob, and you have these open pore wood, and these are solid wood, one piece wood instead of those just a single thin layer. So it's something that is really, really nice. Now, unfortunately in Malaysia, every person prefers a dark interior, dark leather. So in terms of CKD, there's not much of a choice for Volvo, because they need to do cost optimization. They cannot afford like a full black interior or a full cream interior, but that is down to how Malaysians actually prefer, and they have to optimize it. They don't have a choice. Okay, These seats are very comfortable. Soft Napa leather is very nice, and it extends to the entire door panel. Even down here, inside here, it is all leather wrapped in Napa leather. Very comfortable, high grade leather that is competition is not using. So like I mentioned just now, 343k, you are only buying sort of an entry point into the E-Class or 5 Series, but then for Volvo, it is the top spec. It is the top of the range that you get with this price. By right, this car should be anywhere 600,000. But because of the EV incentive, there you go. Alright, let's turn it on. What's the biggest difference? Now you see a lot of smudge over here, but they supply you with a cloth for you to wipe it. Okay, the difference between the T8 and the T6 is that you start and stop in the same manner. So you stop the engine here. Unlike the T6, you twist the other way. Here you start and then you stop the same way. Okay, I have no idea why. As for here, you don't have that part where you push this part in because of maybe of the battery again, but it is still very nice. You have the cup holders here, and then as you open this up, why is there less room? Because of the battery. Okay, but overall I think it's all right. You can use it. You can substitute the lack of space here with the door bins. Why? Because you get a full length door bin. And these are one of the best designs because the cutout part here means you can put large bottles over here, and then it's full length and it's leather wrapped inside and it's padded with a rubber mat. So it's very nice. There's a rubber mat here. It's lined in leather and the stitchings are just beautiful. This is a very nice satin chrome finish door handle, so it feels really good every time you touch it. And the wood, this chunk of wood here is just beautiful. Very beautiful. Very high grade materials that they're using in here. In terms of material usage, I think the S90 is the highest grade compared to 5 Series or E-Class or A6. It is just another grade. Okay, in terms of fit and finish, it is right up there with the new 5 Series and of course the usual Audi levels of fit and finish. I think Volvo now makes the best interiors in terms of material and fit and finish. In terms of this competition, the E-Class looks beautiful inside, but in terms of fit and finish, materials used, it is not as high grade as this guy here. Okay, so to start the car, you just twist this, and then you have the digital LCD panel, and then you have this Volvo Sensors touchscreen. This guy here, once you get used to it, it is fantastic. It is very easy to use. Alright, what else I need to show you? Glove box, very spacious, covered in felt. Okay, and then what else? Nothing much. It is a very nice car to drive. Now in terms of soundproofing, can this match the 5 Series? Nope. The 5 Series is the quietest in class. There's no doubts about that. And but this guy is the highest spec. So I've said it in my review, the 5 Series, because of the chassis balance and all that, it may be the best car in class, but it is not the best buy. Okay, the 5 Series is the best car because of how it drives, how it is built, how quiet it is, how good the iDrive system is, the powertrain combination with the transmission, all that. It is the best car, but this guy here is the best buy because in terms of dynamics, it may lose out a little bit to the 5 Series, but when it comes to comfort, specification, everything else comes in, and this makes this car the best buy of the lot. Now even the seats, look at Volvo seats. Okay, all Volvo seats are designed by orthopedics. Okay, orthopedic surgeons. So that is the reason why they are so comfortable. And if I were to build myself a computer chair, I would go and buy a used Volvo seat and convert it because they are just so comfortable. I have a BMW 6 Series and those come with really high grade seats. And if I drive more than 2 hours in my car, I will get back sore. Okay, there will be backache. But this guy here, None of it. We drove the S90 and V90 for 1,000 km, 20-hour drive to Phuket, and none of us feel tired at our backs. Okay. Now another thing, there are a lot of accidents whereby the car was driving, the driver fell asleep, and then they veer off into the off-road section. You know, this is your road, but normally on the side is either a drop off or mud or other stuffs, you know. So they conduct experiments whereby they see the car gone off the ditch, and then the car just launched up when it goes through something and it landed. So a lot of accidents when you happen to veer off the road, because it's not a flat surface anymore, you will be susceptible to dangers or accidents that are not usual with the normal crash tests. And Euro NCAP doesn't even test that, okay? But what Volvo testing suggests is that when the car was launched up and when it landed, that force alone can break your spine at the lower back area of your spine, because you just landed on a force. So what Volvo did to their seats, inside here there are mechanisms that are detected when, because okay, on a seat you need the rigidity, right? But it will detect when your car was launched off the road, launched off ground, and once it does that, it needs to land, right? Before it lands, the actuators inside the seats actually open up. So what is the result of that is when your car lands, the seat back actually absorbs that force before that force is transferred to your spine. Nobody in this business cares about that. Nobody even invests R&D in anything like this, but Volvo does it. Okay, so again, as we said, when it comes to safety, nobody else matches Volvo. Now these lights, they are equivalent to what we know, the matrix headlamps of what Audi and Mercedes was doing, so that in the dark area it will put up high beam, and when there's another car coming, it will map out the car to shadow it, to reduce the glare and all that. So this is a very, very compelling package. I would say, again, if you're in this segment, this is the best buy. This is the car that I would get because of the price and the specs, and how much power, room, safety, specifications, everything in there. It's the full package. This guy, the T8. Alright, so yep, that's the walk around. We'll have the driving video. Alright guys, so now I'm gonna drive the S90 T8 downhill. So this is Genting Highlands. For those of you who are not Malaysian, this is a place that is about I don't know, 30 or 40 kilometers away from Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. And this is a city and a casino and a hotel, and it's basically a resort uphill. It's about, I don't know, all the way up there should be about anywhere from 2,000 meters above sea level. Here I'm not sure, this is like halfway there, but the temperature around here is about that of 20 degrees, sometimes 19, sometimes it can drop to 17. Whereas in Kuala Lumpur, it is 30 plus all year long. Okay, so this is a very nice mountain area or hill area where a lot of people come up here to gamble. It's the only casino in Malaysia, and a lot of people come up here to drive because of the wonderful roads and the twisty, windy, not super windy, okay? That also means that we can carry a lot of speed. So I'm getting downhill now, so I don't need to throttle a lot. So most of it will be braking, and as we all know, in plug-in hybrids, when you apply the brakes initially, it is actually the electric motor recuperating energy. So it is absorbing energy off the, it is converting kinetic energy into electricity. So, a lot of fast cars coming, and never mind, this car accelerates fast. So, it's very easy. Way easier than most of its peers in this segment. Okay, now the Spa platform S90 has a very eager front end. The front end is very good, in fact, for a front-wheel drive architecture car. It is actually very nice, rather neutral. There's very little weight up front pushing the car's front, unlike an Audi, right? So that's the reason why Volvo always places their engine transverse manner instead of not transverse, horizontally opposed, sideways, just like how even Mitsubishi, when they have the Evo and all that, the engines are not placed transverse, no, unlike Audis, because they don't want too much weight hanging over the front axle. So even if sometimes Volvo may put the entire engine over there, but the way it is oriented, perhaps that helps. But this guys, I have to say, this kind of driving performance is not solely achieved by how they place the engine, but how well the engineers tune the chassis, how well the thing was, the kind of benchmarks that they give themselves when they develop this car. They wanted to be able to achieve this. They wanted to have this kind of driving behavior. So this car has a front end that is very eager. And of course, when you meet a Perodua, that's when they will slow you down. Always. They love to hop the right lane. Right? So there are other cars as well. I have to be cautious not to, make others feel. I mean, I'm driving fast, definitely. I'm driving faster than the rest of the traffic, but not in a way that I want to put them in any danger by, endangering them. That's not the goal here. We drive safe, but fast. Okay. That's the mantra of their website, dsf.my. A good friend of ours, Daniel Sherman Fernandez. You can go check out his page or his Facebook. Nice dude. So being a plug-in hybrid, this car still retains its sporty characteristics because it is a nice car to drive. But make no mistakes, it will not be as can I say sure-footed as the T6, because the T6, they are R designs and they come with R design suspension and all that. So the T8, this guy here, is the Inscription, and with an, does it come with air suspension at the back? I think it comes with air suspension at the back. So it's very comfortable, very pliant. So it does roll a bit more than the R design, but it is the good kind of roll, the kind of body control that you can anticipate what it's doing. So I am braking now. Am I in the normal mode? Okay, in the hybrid mode. Of course, I'll try to charge as much as possible if I could by braking. My goal is to see if I'm able to charge it up at least, to show something on the gauges. So far it is not. I can see it charging, but I can't see whether it is oh, it's showing a little bit now. So back then, when Volvo launched the XC90, they have a software in it that limits driving recuperation charging to only 30%. Their logic is this: they want to encourage everybody to plug it in. Whereas BMW's, the 330e, they allows driving recuperation of up to 90%. So a lot of BMW salesmen will say, hey, you can just drive it like a normal hybrid because it charges daily, you don't need to plug it in. But Volvo's ideology is to encourage you to charge, to use fossil fuel free driving as much as possible so that there's less reliance on fossil fuel. However, due to practicality, daily usage, and of course, as Asians, most of us stay in the city, most of us stay in condominiums or apartments where we don't have the luxury of parking our cars in front of our house. That also means that we will not have our own dedicated charging capacity, unlike those who stay in landed units. So Volvo eventually they updated the software to allow driving recuperation of up to 80%. So all Volvo plug-in hybrids now are able to recuperate up to 80% of its battery capacity by driving alone, because of the nature of how a lot of buyers of not having landed properties. Of course, some newer condos, they have charging ports, but not a lot. Even my condo, I'm trying to write to the management to see if we can install one, because that is for the good of everybody in the condo, and especially now that there are so many plug-in hybrid vehicles around. Sorry, that guy is just tone deaf. They're just looking ahead. They're not looking at their side mirrors or their rear view mirrors. They're not sure if there's anybody even next to them or behind them. Especially this stretch, is a stretch whereby we will be using our brakes a lot. So if you have a car that always recuperates or convert your braking energy into electricity, it is actually the motor doing the braking. It is not your brake pads. So theoretically speaking, you are using less of your brake pads than normal cars. It is actually the motor. Okay? Can apply a little bit of brake, let the car roll downhill, but I'm still on my brakes partially so that it charges the car. So remember, I was at Gotong Jaya just now and it was empty. It was completely empty. So now I'm going downhill, and it's not a long stretch, and then after this there is a climb. Okay, I wonder if there is a way for me to conserve electricity, to not use this sounds a bit stupid, but or counterintuitive of why a plug-in hybrid exists in the first place. But there are times I wish I could choose, like tell the car I don't want to use a single drop. Sorry, not drop. What's the unit for electricity? I wouldn't want to use a single watt of electricity. I want to charge it as much as I could so that I can use it later for a traffic light stop, acceleration, show off with another car or something, yeah. But unfortunately, I don't think that mode exists. I wish there's a charging mode, just that means it shuts down the electric powertrain and just recharges. Just recharge and recharge and recharge and see how much charge I get out of it. I'm very sure if this car is fully charged, when I'm at a traffic light stop against a V8 BMW M3 or an Audi RS4, 50 meters maybe, 50 meters, I think this car will be faster against a beast like an RS4 or an M3. The new one I'm not sure, because the new one is turbocharged with launch control and all that. They are very fast, but wouldn't know, man. I mean, if you don't go into launch control, because this car you don't do that. You just put it in power mode, and then you don't even need to do all the left foot braking and all that. Nah, nothing. Just bury the throttle, and then boom, the car shoots up. It's quite amazing, right? Is it recharging? Okay. Apply the brakes. This is a very nice stretch of road to drive. This is called the Akara Highway, and it's a fantastic stretch of road. Curvy, windy, a lot of elevation. No, not elevation, but a difference between elevation. And it's rather high speed. And if you're not from Malaysia, you would have no. Let me tell you this: if you're not from Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, Malaysians have the fastest driving average speed of driving. Yeah, this came off the mouth of a Nissan engineer from Japan. So there was a Nissan Tiana, I think it's the previous generation, where we asked them, why is the Tiana for Malaysia fitted with an additional transmission oil cooler? And his answer was simple: because Malaysians drive very fast. On average, on the highway, every single person on the highway, we drive above the speed limit. We drive at about, regularly, even the smallest of cars, they drive about 120, 130 kilometers per hour. And on the north-south highway, which is the main highway that connects the northernmost part of peninsular Malaysia to the southernmost, when there's no traffic jam, everybody regularly travels 140 km/h, 135. Yeah, we do that. We just drive fast. And we have one of the highest accident fatality rates, but you'll be surprised. Most of them doesn't happen on the highways. Most of them happen on the back roads. Yeah, the rural roads where you don't have dividers dividing the flowing traffic. So you have those roads. I think most of it, everybody is traveling about, say, I don't know, 70 km/h, 70 or 80, and those are the deadliest ones. You know, where you have cows crossing roads, you have the villages, the rural areas, people riding on motorcycles just crossing like that without a helmet and all that. It's like an unspoken rule in Malaysia: if you're near a village or the countryside, nobody wears their helmets. It's almost as if it's a known rule that if you're out of the cities, riding a motorcycle without helmet is acceptable if you're not within city boundaries or near the main roads of the most cities. You know, if you're in the rural areas, somehow it's just legal. Yeah, right. So I can see one bar being filled up now. I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. So one bar is being filled up. That would be 25%. So I gained 25% of mileage of free electricity from my downhill drive just now. So if this car, on paper, it is able to do 40 kilometers of driving range, for electricity driving range, then I've just gained 10 kilometers for free, for absolutely nothing apart from going downhill, and not using my brake pads either. It is using the electric motors to recharge. Okay, so plug-in hybrids, yeah, they are the future. And I would assume this: in the future, the term plug-in hybrid might be gone altogether, because when every car is a plug-in hybrid, there's no need to call them plug-in hybrid anymore. They're just cars, right? Remember back in the 80s or early 70s, when cars when mass market cars started having injection, not direct injection, but port injection, they put badges at the back of those cars. So that is just a breakthrough in technology that helps save fuel and provide more power. The same goes with plug-in hybrids. It is just a technology that provides more power and saves fuel. So there's no need to have a separate categorization. There's no need to have even a separate badging, because in the future, every single car, maybe by law, would be in certain way some kind of hybridized drivetrain, because it just makes sense. It's just physics, right? You convert kinetic energy that you want to shave off, not with friction from big brake pads generating heat, but from electric motors converting that energy into electricity. Yeah, that would be the future. Alright, so I'm gonna hop off this car now and swap back to another car.